guys, I'm Jose.
I'm Lupe.
And we're back to react to Five Nights at Freddy's, the Ultimate Timeline. This is the final episode. So after this, there's no more lore. Until, the Ruin DLC comes out next month. And
Shifts everything.
shifts everything around. We're gonna get into the game, like Security Breach. The newest game where instead of staying in an office, you walk around, and it's like a free roam game where you can go up and down stairs and hide and stuff like that. I thought it was a pretty fun game. It obviously wasn't finished when they released it because there was a ton of bugs. And yeah, last episode, what did we talk about? What was the lore? Michael, he found his papa's room, and he got scooped.
He got scooped. He basically a carcass that couldn't die.
Yeah, he became like a corpse, and then he ended up reuniting all the animatronics with the help of Henry, and then they burned. And then William didn't burn because Cassidy kept him alive.
Which is dumb.
Yeah.
Should just let him die.
Should just let him die.
Make more victims now.
Yeah. And I think that's the gist of it. After the place burned down, he lived, and we're gonna get into what happens next here. So let's just get onto it. Let's go.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, and the
That patch, I'm
final
scared.
part of my FNAF timeline.
My
where
volume was
today
all the way
we're
up.
bringing
Yeah.
our story to a
Hurt.
close by talking about the most complicated and controversial part of the timeline, the part that I've been
Oh.
dreading most of all, the end. The
He did
moment
say it
we were
was
finally forced
controversial.
To come to some definitive and difficult answers, trying to explain what the heck we were watching in Security Breach. The last two episodes have been about death. The death of Afton's family, the deaths of multiple children, the death of the franchise itself as Mike and Henry figuratively and literally burn it all down. Today's episode, though, and the current end of this franchise, is instead all about rebirth. The return
Yeah.
of new characters in new forms, and the controversial rebirth of a franchise entering the next era of its story. But before we hop into the timeline, due to scheduling conflicts, I won't be able to have any live talk back after this episode. I know I promised one. I was really excited.
We're a
about
couple
it,
months
but I
late
just
to
couldn't
the
make it
live.
work with my schedule and all the other guests' schedules. That said, I still do plan on doing one over the coming weeks with special guests. Just make sure that you're subscribed and either have all notifications turned on, or you're just watching our community tab for the announcement as to when that's going to happen. And now, without any further ado, we finally reach the end and a new beginning to our story.
Chapter 3, Post Purple Guy.
Fazbear Entertainment was dead.
There is no need for you to return to work next week, as Fazbear Entertainment is no
Oh,
longer
yeah.
a corporate entity.
They did say that.
All assets redistributed. The company was outright dissolved. Even the memories of the horrors that had happened there started to fade away in the public consciousness. The people were gone too. William was dead. Henry
Yeah.
was gone. A whole generation
Allegedly.
of young Emilys and Aftons had lost their lives to the horrors of the pizzeria. All of them collateral damage to the man in the bunny suit. Everyone the company had ever touched was dead and gone.
Yeah.
Well, all except one.
So what happens?
Child support, you deadbeats! I'm keeping the diamond ring. I also set the house on fire.
Clara Afton. She'd been there in the early
The
Oh.
wife?
Things with William were good.
I didn't know she was important.
Thriving business. The
I thought
ideal
she just
family, but
disappeared.
shortly
Yeah, I
That's
thought
it.
she just left.
things started to change. William had become distant, lost in his work.
I remember earlier
She
theories, like
watched
years
him
ago,
change
they
from this
they
irritating,
theorized that she
flirty
turned into the
kids he grew up
ballerina.
with to a drunken
But
monster
I guess
struggling
not.
to hold himself together. And despite her trying to reach out to him in those desperate days, he was just too far gone.
Oh, there's the ballerina.
Admit it, you wanted to let me in.
For her sake, she had to leave the relationship, and from there she largely faded into obscurity. A mystery from William's past, a footnote in his history, and that was fine for her. She wanted to leave that part of her life behind. She tried
You
to move
left your
forward,
children.
never wanting to hear
Yeah.
about Freddy Fazbear again. A time defined by mistakes and broken promises. But then, the paperwork started to arrive. As Fazbear Entertainment began to close as a corporate entity, suddenly her mail was flooded with notifications.
Well, she's the only living relative.
She had been there since the beginning, helping William in the early days of his business.
Oh.
And now, as a shareholder and sole living
Oh.
member of the Afton family, all copyrights and trademarks of both Afton Robotics and Fazbear Entertainment passed on to her.
Yeah.
Memories of this past life that she had long left behind. Looking at the blueprints, the contracts, the memos. She felt old wounds begin to reopen. The regrets of a happy family that had been torn away from her. William had always been brilliant. That's what had
The
attracted
daughter
her
with
to
the
him
big
in the
old
first place.
eyes.
But he'd also been too blinded by obsession and pride. He was too jealous, too petty, too unable to actually see
Yeah.
a bigger picture. But now, holding the paperwork that contained decades of heartbreak and trauma, she realized it was her turn. She was holding.
Oh
This
no.
was her
Oh,
chance,
she
and one
restarted
thought
everything.
Resonated in her head. I will put them back together. I will put them all back together. She
You're
No.
the
was
same.
one to rebuild this family, to rebuild the pieces of that shattered life, to reclaim the kids that Fazbear had stolen from her.
Big eyes.
Looking at William's work now laid out before her, she knew that he had been onto something, collecting Remnant, robotic humanoids, digital conscience transference. The pieces were all in place, they were just scattered, fragmented. It was almost like there were too many ideas going in too many different directions. It was such an
Oh,
important
that
idea
arena?
that she reiterated that point to herself.
The
there
mini
were too
arenas.
many ideas going in too many different directions. That said, there had to be a way to save it all. She just needed to put it all back together. But how? To rebuild her family, she would first need to rebuild the franchise that had stolen them away from her. With ownership over the characters, their licenses, the technology patents, and the Fazbear name, she converted the corporation back to an LLC, a structure for smaller businesses that are usually family-owned. The irony was fitting. From there, she would need Remnant, and lots of it. Remnant was the key. Clearly, in the later years of his life, William had been using Circus Babies Entertainment and Rentals as a remnant farm, sending robots to kids' birthday parties in the hopes of nabbing bits of the stuff here and there. But clearly, it wasn't enough. He had, what, like 4, maybe 5 animatronics going out every week? No. It was a decent idea, but to get the
Yeah, they
remnant
rented them out.
required, it needed scale. Dozens, hundreds of animatronics, all out there, all gathering Remnant from unsuspecting customers. But to do that would require help, something William would never ask for. William had kept everything in-house. His obsession with control limited him. Clara,
Yeah,
though,
he wanted
she
to do
wasn't nearly
everything.
that precious.
Yeah.
A plan like this required partners, people outside
Ah.
of Fazbear to do the heavy lifting. So she contacted mid-sized
Smart
delivery
thinker.
company DLZ Shipping Solutions to help build replicas of all the original
Who are
animatronics.
they?
Meal delivery apps being all the rage. Why not an animatronic delivery service? Order one. to
Oh my
celebrate your
god, that's
birthday,
what the
call
Pokemon Go
delivery.
type
How about
game
a
is.
4th of July picnic. We'll invite Liberty Chica and 4th of July Freddy.
What?
She would make sure that they made skins for every occasion. Chocolate Bonnies for Easter, Shamrock Freddy's
So they're
for St.
relevant through
Patrick's
any
Day, Dia de
holiday.
los
Yeah.
Muertos Chicas. And thus, the Fazbear Funtime service was
Okay, I didn't know this was important. Is that Mark Flash?
Was it ridiculous? Absolutely. Was it a sellout? No doubt. It was exactly the sort of thing that
I hate that
William
balloon boy.
would've hated, but it needed to be done to get enough Remnant. Normally, the novelty of
Okay.
ordering an animatronic wore off after like what, 1, maybe 2 times.
Yeah.
But with new skins for new holidays, suddenly you had yourself an animatronic perfect for every occasion. It would
Yeah.
keep people hooked. It would keep them ordering the latest and greatest that Fazbear
Yeah.
Entertainment LLC had to offer, and all the while they'd be collecting and returning the Remnant back to her. You know.
Okay, real quick, this is like a tangent, but I remember back, I don't know if it was like a couple years ago, but they announced like a Freddy Fazbear's pizza delivery service.
I did hear that. Like
That
from,
you know how Mr. Beast Burger does this thing where it's not an
Yeah.
actual restaurant, it's like a,
it's just like pop up things, right?
yeah, they were doing that, and they said it was gonna go live. What happened to that? I remember that it just never came out. I didn't hear anything from it. Unless it came out and I just don't know about it.
You missed out.
I need to order a Freddy Fazbear pizza. Okay, well, let's just get back into it.
The word, it was brilliant. There was just one problem with it. No one trusted the Fazbear name.
Yeah, I
Company's
wouldn't
brand
either.
was still mud in the public eye.
Yeah,
No one would
so
wanna
many
hear
dead
animatronics
kids.
From the restaurant franchise known for murdering children. Nothing kills a party quite like the threat of death, you know. So
A murder
she
bot
needed
at my
to find a way to
house.
discredit the
No, thank you.
stories that had come before. She needed to win back the public's affections, reactivate some nostalgia for the
I think I know where this is
stories of
going.
their childhoods. She needed a game. Multiple games.
Oh, yeah.
They lied to us. They lied
The
to
VR
all
game.
of us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer. But that's not true at all. Those indie games were designed to conceal and make light of what happened. This isn't just an attempt to rebrand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
Struggling game developers were a dime a dozen on
Scott.
most working on their magnum opus between shifts at the Dollar General. So she found one. Steve just picked him out of obscurity.
That's the game's creator.
To say and do anything
He put himself
for
into the
love.
game.
He fell right in line, as expected, delivering stupid little things with dumb generic names
Oh.
Balloon Boy's Air Adventure, Five Nights at Freddy's. Bad gameplay with even worse graphics, but hey, they got the job done. People were suddenly talking about the clues inside of these things, searching for the hidden lore.
Five Nights at Freddy's is canon within Five Nights at Freddy's.
Her husband's twisted history of serial murder had suddenly been reduced to a mere Nancy Drew mystery to be solved. The plan had worked. Freddy Fazbear's was
just kind of like diluted.
Than ever.
Yeah.
Things were going shockingly well. Her takeover and reboot of the franchise was full.
Dang, she's getting so much done.
Yeah.
Built the largest, most ambitious
Revived
project,
everything.
The Mega Pizzaplex.
The Mega
William had always been so
Pizzaplex.
visionary, but always thought so small
William
scale.
should have just,
It was
yeah.
beautiful to a fault. Not her though. She knew that this
Oh,
latest
jeez.
project
Yeah, that's the new game.
it needed
That
to
looks
be
really
flashy.
good.
It needed
Honestly,
to be a
She should have
palace
just
for
taken over
children,
instead of
a place that
William.
got people
Like if they made this place, I would visit it.
I would,
This
yeah.
is really
So
dope looking
steady
place.
supply of Remnant flowing in, it was finally time. The stage was set. It was time to get to her real goal, literally rebuilding a family.
I don't know where this is going.
March 2035.
Oh,
The first
damn.
was obvious. Crying child, her little boy, the one that was the first to get ripped away from her. She'd seen down in his bunker that William had gotten very close to replicating artificial humans using
hate those
animatronic
things.
technology. And so that's exactly what she would do. Rebuild her boy from the ground up using robotic parts. His shaggy brown hair, his favorite striped shirt, even down to small details that no one would notice, like the band-aid on his left arm.
Oh my
William,
god.
through research, had even found ways of making animatronics that could bleed and process food, making them virtually indistinguishable from a typical human. He would never have any idea of what he actually was unless he was explicitly told. The only
Oh.
things that could possibly
Gregory, oh my
were
god.
overrides to his internal systems. If something were to say interfere with the cameras that he had in his eyes, or cause some sort of a core reboot to his hard drive, or
Like
X-ray
Vanny.
his metallic bones, then yeah, he would be exposed. But otherwise, to the outside world, he was just your typical normal human boy. She worked down in the bowels of the Pizzaplex, giving him life, but it was one thing to build him. It was
He's a
another
robot?
to remember his identity.
I kinda
He died
figured.
so young, so early in their history that there was no preserved memories for him, no documentation that she could just download into his digital brain. So bit by bit, she trained him, forcing him to remember who he was. In a corner of the room, she even made a makeshift dinner table, a reminder of their
Oh, there's baby.
family recreated. Two brothers, a sister, a father, and the mother.
The headless
and
mother,
the
headless brother.
One in charge, one in command, the one bringing all of this to
Opposite
fruition. But
of what
his
it was
progress
before.
Wow.
admittedly slower than she would have liked. At first, he could only communicate through simple ones and zeros, then rudimentary
Ah.
drawings.
Oh, the sticky note room.
But bit by bit, images of his past life started to come through. Balloons, colors, houses, bears and faces, birthday parties. All for me. Gregory was alive. As the robot boy embraced her, she felt a warmth that she hadn't.
And then that's where she died.
This was the joy that she'd been working towards. This was
What
it was
happened?
for. Her son, back in her arms again. The plan was working. She had to keep going. Next was William. The family was truly
No.
gonna be put together. She
Gregory.
needed him.
Bring
She
the
knew
other
exactly
children
where
back.
he was, in the ruins of that old Freddy
Oh my
Fazbear's
God.
place where Henry had trapped him. In fact, that's specifically why she insisted on building the Pizzaplex there over the sinkhole. It's the best place to hide what her true intentions were with the entire operation.
Yeah, she built it on top of Henry's
He was
thing.
right where she thought he'd be. Seeing the putrid shell of the Springtrap suit, though, was not something she was prepared for. The rotting corpse of William Afton.
Yeah.
Was disgusting. Scorched flesh fused into the
He's still
fur-like
alive?
hollow black
Yeah.
sockets where eyes once were. A smell that reeked of burned carbon and bloody iron. He was no longer flesh. He was just the tangled sinews of a creature that was once called human. How far this brilliant man had fallen. It was clear that her work was cut out for her on this one. Afton was practically lifeless. The man may not have been able to die, but he was about as close as you could come. And his body
Yeah, I don't
needed
think he
a
could
lot of
move.
reconstruction. Replacement arms and endoskeleton reinforcements were the top priority. Maybe pulled from their new line of glam rock animatronics. You'd have to see if they had any spare Bonnie parts lying around that they could steal.
Bonnie!
In the meantime, though, she
That's why he's
turned
not in the
husband
game.
That was once her husband into a life support pod infused with aerosolized remnant to help keep him stable. But more important than
Yeah.
recovering his body was recovering his mind. In his current state, he was comatose, an empty shell. Severe brain damage starts at temperatures over 108 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh.
2 degrees Celsius.
Every day in
Years
Texas.
of repeated fires had burned
That explains a lot.
him to goo. Gone was the brilliant, frustrating mind that had drawn her to him in the first place. But she had a plan. Unlike her darling boy Gregory, Afton had found ways to record his consciousness. Fundamentally, the brain is only a series of electrical connections after all, so why couldn't you replicate that in the form of a standard circuit board? In essence, you could create a digital consciousness. And one thing she knew about William, he was nothing if not cautious.
Yeah.
Someone who had backup plans to his
Yeah, there we go.
Sure enough,
Yeah.
there it was, buried in piles of old animatronic CPUs, a record of Afton himself.
Ah.
Someone to test it.
Someone was definitely here during the night. It had to have been the client. I mean, they sent us that stuff in the first place with no explanation, told us to scan it, said it would expedite the process so we wouldn't need to program any pathfinding ourselves.
Unlike the other games that she'd paid to have made in the past, this one had a different purpose. This wasn't about PR, it was about getting William back up and running, spreading his virus to the masses.
You acknowledge that Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for accidental digital consciousness transference. Real-world manifestation.
That's during the VR game.
Hired a new
It's like the first thing you hear.
to scan the boards and bring her husband into the system. And because of the immersive nature of VR, William's consciousness would be able to merge with the player, giving him a new body, a new agency. There was just one complication. Afton's hold wasn't as powerful as she
Ew.
That looks so creepy.
I don't remember that.
Jeremy was so desperate to escape from his
Oh,
grasp,
Jeremy.
he sliced his own face off with a paper shredder.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I remember
Afton's
that.
followers were reluctant, to say the
Ugh.
least, but it was the second attempt that looked like it had the potential to kill two birds with one stone. Enter Vanessa. This is Afton
Vanessa.
wanted a surrogate daughter. Her darling Elizabeth would have been a young woman at this point if she had lived. Clara wanted someone who wasn't Elizabeth but could be just like her. Could she have just rebuilt her like Gregory? Sure, but she decided against it because she wanted an actual human mother-daughter connection. Well, that, and it would be redundant and narratively unsatisfying to have two robot kids in the same family. What could she say? William had put a lot of tools on the table for her to use, and she was planning on using them all. Plus, Elizabeth had always been so loyal to Daddy. It was time to give her a second chance, a true choice. And Vanessa seemed to be the perfect candidate to fill the role.
Your dad's
Interesting.
name was Bill. Your dad didn't play fair, did he? He used to make your mum look bad in court. He manipulated you. I know your mum after she lost the custody case. I was supposed to be a good girl.
She started as a QA tester at Silver Parasol Games, a VR game development company that was part of her plan to bring back William. But more importantly, Vanessa checked all the correct boxes. Right age, blonde, green eyes,
Blonde.
flowers in the outdoors. In many ways, it was her daughter all over again. Except it wasn't just looks and personality. What really mattered was Vanessa's mind.
Her brain.
Coming from a broken home, motherless, able to be manipulated.
Yeah,
She
weak.
would do nicely. She would be the one to save dear old Daddy, just as the real Elizabeth would have wanted.
I will make you proud, Daddy.
While testing the VR game, William's digital consciousness merged with Vanessa. Oh sure,
Yeah.
she fought, fragmenting Afton's code into a series of tapes hidden across the game.
Yeah, I
trying to
collected
do
them all.
searches to regain control over her life, but it wasn't enough. She was weaker than Jeremy. She was a thrall that, despite occasional moments of lucidity, had to obey. And with Vanessa, it was a two-for-one deal. She was getting a daughter back while also bringing her husband one step closer to reactivation. She just had to make sure that Vanessa was headed the right way. The reborn Gregory was an expert hacker, part of the benefits of being an
Sunglasses.
and a robot. So Clara had him keeping tabs on Vanessa, hacking into her emails and trailing her therapy
Ah.
sessions to ensure the future Elizabeth was falling in line. If any of the therapists started to ask too many questions, they
Killed
were
them.
promptly dismissed from their
Oh.
positions. And while
Yeah, because during the game you can like find like little CDs, and there's like a secret room you go in to play them, and every so often the therapists change, like the voices, and they like talk about, oh, your previous therapist died, and like, what do you have to say about that? And just silence. And I'm like, oh, well,
Gregory
she's
The
been
mom
possessed.
is evil as well.
Yeah.
All that family, the kids were just the victims, and the parents were
She
horrible.
then had the possessed Vanessa bring the contaminated circuit boards to DLZ shipping, the Fazbear Funtime service. More glitches, more Remnant, more Afton. But it was her last move that was the best. In a true masterpiece of poetry, she brought Vanessa over to be chief security officer at the Pizzaplex.
Ah.
True family tradition to don the hat and badge, and all it took was a recommendation from the top as well as some emails marked for deletion. Sure, Vanessa didn't have relevant experience for the job, but when it comes directly from the CEO, does it really matter?
Yeah.
Husband,
Who's
son,
gonna stop?
daughter, a corpse, a robot, a human. All that was left was Michael. Poor, troubled Michael. The boy that killed her youngest. The one that would spend years trying to make his guilty conscience right again. A self-professed protector. While she knew she needed him to complete the family, something told her that the problem had already solved itself. Something had shifted when using Glamrock Freddy to excavate the buried pizza place.
I have been here before.
Ah.
The first time when I cleared the path, I have changed. My friends are here, but I can protect you. I am not me.
Did he go into the...
I think he went into the bear.
Maybe it was the spirit of Michael living on as a protector, but he was there.
How did he get him?
Inside of Glamrock Freddy.
How did he get in there?
Could feel it. And just like that, she'd won. She'd done it. Sure, there were still some kinks to work out, some final brainwashing of Vanessa, some rehabilitation of William, but they were there. Finally, all together again under one roof. The Aftons reunited. A happy ending. And that's how it could have ended. That's how it should have ended, had it not been for a few unanticipated developments. For one, something was just wrong with the Pizzaplex. Almost as if the entire building was haunted, possessed. Puppet plushies hiding on ceilings, behind crates, places that had no earthly way of belonging.
Oh god.
Spots with greasy tears
Burn it.
down their eyes, acting like they were being puppeteered by some sort of a nightmare. Even their sounds had the echo of nightmares long past.
Oh.
It was as though a guardian spirit of the past refused to move on. As long as her husband was around, it too would linger. Only now, it wasn't just in one body, but was in the essence of the building itself. She had seen stories of houses built on burial grounds getting possessed by angry spirits, but never assumed that it could be real. Then again, in a world of living spirit metal and mind-controlling glitches, who was she to be so judgmental? The whole thing was ridiculous. Why would this be the line that she refused to cross? After all, the Pizzaplex was built over the burial ground of angry spirits, but it was the power
Henry's
that
ghost?
finally convinced her that something was wrong. Suddenly, these cords were striped black and white, like the security puppet from generations ago. The very foundations of this place, the materials and wires that constituted it, were rebelling against her, against the Aftons, against the quest to bring them all together again. And it was being helped by something else, something slithering through the building. Connected, she couldn't be sure, but a blob of living wires could be heard oozing through the walls, stealing pieces and parts of the old animatronics showcased in Rockstar Row. She could only assume that it was a byproduct of all the Remnant they'd been collecting. From Afton's testing, she knew that both light and dark Remnant existed, one of positive emotions and the other created from anguish, anger, agony. Perhaps this thing was an amalgamation of all the darkest parts of the pizzeria's history. A collection of the hatred still housed inside these defunct endoskeletons and exosuits. As long as it was left alone, it seemed to be harmless. But if any Afton outside Michael got too close, it would lash out wildly. Even young Gregory, looking to punish the family that had been complicit in its horrible creation. Little did she know, though, that Gregory should have been her biggest concern. That bringing the family together would have some unforeseen consequences. Gregory was normally the goodest of boys. She had literally built him that way.
He rebelled.
He'd been disappearing more and more often, disobeying her orders, requests. She knew that he loved playing on the arcade machines once the Pizzaplex closed, being so good as to top the leaderboard on practically all of them. But lately, he was nowhere to be found. She suspected his absence had to do with Glamrock Freddy's failed performance the other night, when he malfunctioned live on stage. Almost as though the core programming of Freddy responded to seeing this rebuilt small boy. Almost like it awakened something inside of him. She'd have to make sure that Vanessa was on the lookout for him. But she'd soon learn that Vanessa wasn't enough. Whether it was the influence of the nightmare puppet or a reawakened hatred of animatronics seated deep in Gregory's code, something had caused him to rebel. To rip apart each animatronic in the Pizzaplex. Bit by bit, this boy was tearing down the empire that she'd so painstakingly built. Freeing Vanessa from her mind control, destroying the remains of Afton in the basement.
That boss battle was crazy.
As her carefully created world crumbled around her one more time, she began to plot her revenge. She would have to bring them all to ruin. And there you have it, my friends.
The DLC.
In the making, my FNAF Timeline for where the franchise is here in 2023. The year of Fazbear Frights, by the way. As always, it wouldn't be right for me to finish without going over some of the more controversial takes that I just handed out. I think we can all agree that this part of the timeline was always going to be the hardest. So let me just break down some of the major points. First of all, the biggest swing of this episode, and obviously the one that everything else rests upon, Mrs. Afton being the CEO of
I didn't expect her to come back.
Here's why I went with this route. Now, first and foremost, the head of Fazbear Entertainment is the single biggest mystery that we're meant to solve at this point the lore. The Ultimate Guide brings it up repeatedly. Who's running the show? Who is okaying these decisions? And in the security breach memos, we get multiple mentions of someone manipulating things from the top down. Whoever this is, they are the person driving forward every other facet of late-stage FNAF lore here. They're the puppet master who's hiring the indie dev. They're the ones relaunching the brand, building the Pizzaplex over the burial ground. So everything at the end of the timeline relies on this one singular answer. Now, as I see it, there are two possibilities here. One, an adult robot Elizabeth, like we see older versions of robot kids in the fourth closet, or Mrs. Afton. Could it be someone completely new to the
I
franchise?
think it's Mrs.
Absolutely
Afton.
yes, but in a game with so many returning faces and repeated themes, it would be pretty random and arbitrary. So, between these two girl bosses, who then would it be? Well, Elizabeth always wants to please her daddy, so she'd be most likely wanting to bring him to life. But then, what's Vanessa's role in all of this? Vanessa is clearly meant to be a parallel for Elizabeth. Same hair, same eyes, similar backstories, but if the main goal is getting the Afton family back together, which seems to clearly be the case in Security Breach, then there's no need for Vanessa to be involved at all. We already have Elizabeth running the show. It would also mean that we suddenly have two robot kids running around, which feels narratively repetitive and quite frankly kind of dumb. Now look at Mrs. Afton. We know next to nothing about her outside of any clues that we can get from Immortal and the Restless and Ballora's song. But what her being head of Fazbear does is make every other piece of the lore fit. Suddenly, we have one of every other type of character. One robot kid in Gregory, one brainwashed human in Elizabeth/Vanessa, one OG corpse in William, and one possessed animatronic in Mike.
One bear.
Makes everything else cleaner. Legally, it's also the option that makes the most sense. As I call out in my narrative, she'd likely have some stake in the original company and all of its assets. So it's
even if she left, she still has a share.
She's the only one that's alive,
Clue that really sold me on this particular direction, and that was this right here in the post-it room, the big lore central of Security.
I don't even take the time to look at that.
The whole family, including the mother. And not only is she there, she is at
I opened that box. I remember that.
The position of highest honor and responsibility. She is the one in charge, with William being relegated off to the side. That one scene shows that we have to include Mom in there somewhere, and the only place it makes sense for her to be is at the top. Now, there is one big dilemma with my interpretation of all this. The Ultimate Guide really seems to point out that the head of Fazbear doesn't want the glitch trap virus to spread. They call out one particular email in FNAF AR where the legal team calls a cease and desist to all action about scanning the circuit boards. And even in FNAF VR, we're told that the circuit boards get stolen back by the client, presumably once they realize what danger is on there. Trying to stop the glitch trap before he spreads and gets out of hand. Here's the problem with that, though. If the head of Fazbear doesn't want Afton to rise again, why'd they restart the company in the first place? Why'd they build over the FNAF 6 pizzeria? Why'd they go through an elaborate cover-up to make the possessed Vanessa an important part of the company? Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It would be the most inconsistent series of actions ever, but I did want to call attention to it since it seems to be the route that the official guide is trying to steer us towards. Moving on to minor point number one, the Five Nights at Freddy's games were made by the rogue indie developer. Here's the thing, FNAF VR opens with this line.
That's why we have recreated many of these completely fictitious scenarios, lies, that you've been
Lies.
over the last several years into a hilarious VR game.
It's recreating the lies told to you by the indie developer. And since Help Wanted has direct
Yeah,
recreations of FNAF
hiding the
1
truth.
and 3, it means the games must be part of the fabrications that this developer made up. Also, all of this is heavily implied in the story of the same name, Help Wanted and Tales of the Pizzaplex, hence FNAF 1 through 3, canon games within the lore of the series. Big swing
The
number
games
two,
being canon
elephant
within themselves
tour
is
goes
crazy.
into the room, Charlie infecting the Pizzaplex. John from the channel FNAF has made some great findings about Charlie's influence over the Pizzaplex. The cables that looked like the striped arms of the puppet, the Nightmare-owned plushies that you find hidden across places, the staff bots with
It would make
smiles and
sense.
In Your Dreams written on the front. All of these things
In Your
scream
Dreams.
puppets. Plus, with the puppet mask not having tears in the blob, seems to imply that Charlie's spirit exists elsewhere. She is still in play, and she has an important role, especially in Gregory's post-it room. The doors to the post-it room in the game's code are called Charlie doors. And inside, there's a bunch of lit-up nightmare staff bot heads. Suspicious,
Well, I guess there's our answer.
Fantasy did a great theory looking
Coded into the game.
concluding that the crying child / Gregory isn't alone in this room, but rather might be communicating with someone. a spirit, Charlie. Charlie's spirit seems to have pulled a poltergeist. Instead of controlling one thing, she's affecting a lot of little details, foundational elements of the Pizzaplex. And this isn't the first time that we've seen this in the franchise either. We've seen spirits communicating with people through physical writing in the survival logbook. So we know that this is an established means of spirit communication within this franchise. And I suspect that to some extent it might be Charlie's influence making Gregory go haywire. Which brings me then to my final and probably biggest controversy in recent FNAF history, Gregory as Patient 46, the evil robot mastermind. Now, I know when I first came out with this theory a year ago, people were mad. But here's the thing, you don't have to take my evidence points for it anymore. The recent Tales from the Pizzaplex story, GGY, basically goes and just outright proves it. In GGY, we find out about a boy named Gregory who's getting all the high scores in the Pizzaplex arcade machines. When therapists start to go missing, it's confirmed that GGY is the one that's working to bump them off. And when they start getting corrupted by a mysterious glitch, GGY's letters are found inside the code. He even chooses the code name Dr. Rabbit, for crying out loud. But
Dr.
obviously,
Rabbit.
at the time of security breach, Gregory is working against Burn Trap, Vanessa, and the animatronics. Why? How? Well, it's not really clear. I tend to believe that something must have happened to cause him to either lose his memory or be reset in some way. Maybe it was Charlie talking to him in his post-it room. Maybe he hit his head. Maybe it was the connection that he made with Mike on stage in Glamrock Freddy. Not exactly sure, and I don't think we have enough clues to solve any of it yet. But it makes sense from a story perspective why he'd start off evil on Afton's side and then switch to trying to destroy him and not knowing who he is in security breach. And with that, my friends, I'm wrapping this thing up. Congratulations, we are on page 40. 22,000 words of FNAF, baby.
Damn.
I practically just wrote myself a Tales of the Pizzaplex short story. Have I answered everything? No. Does everything fit cleanly? No. But does it feel like the best and most cohesive narrative for all these characters that addresses most of the evidence we're given? Yeah. For me, honestly, it really does. And let's be honest
kind of
with
fits.
ourselves, the DLC will probably come out later this year and prove me completely wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Then comes the movie, whatever. My descent into madness continues. But regardless, I am so proud of this. This was a massive undertaking. And I'm so proud of our editors who have just destroyed the editing across all 4 of these
He
installments.
pieced that all together. It's crazy.
Thank you for pushing through on 20-plus minute uploads. You are unreal, and your talent is unrivaled. I'm so lucky to work with you guys every single day. And like I mentioned,
The Lion.
The Lion, yeah. This guy, like, solve a murder. I swear.
It's funny how both sons try to stop this. First it was Michael, and then it was what's his name?
Crying Kid.
Crying. We never got his name.
I don't think we ever got his name. Gregory is the rebuilt name. I don't know if that's like his original name. Yeah.
We'll just say Gregory.
Yeah.
They both try to stop it.
Yeah, because in the game, in this newest game, you play as Gregory. And you, like, it starts with Freddy having a malfunction on the stage, and then you wake up, and then you're inside Freddy. You have to, like, get out of him because he has, like, a chest hatch where he stores birthday cakes. And you're in there somehow. And you, like, team up with him. It's the first time you team up with an animatronic when they're, like, not trying to kill you. So you, like, go out and try to escape the Pizzaplex.
Well, that was his brother, wasn't it? Like, the ghost or the spirit of his brother.
Yeah, according to this. I had heard theories that Gregory was a robot, and I kind of suspected it because it didn't show her, but Vanessa, she gets possessed and she wears a rabbit costume. It's the rabbit we saw at Fan Expo. The rabbit with the red eyes, the white stitching.
Oh.
Yeah. It's her. She's Vanessa, who's the daughter, the sister. She wears that suit when she's possessed. And every time she walks past you, you're playing as Gregory, so you're, like, seeing his point of view. And every time she walks past you, you got, like, these, like, VHS lines, like, ring on the screen. So, like, hey, you're probably a robot. Because normal people don't see VHS lines when a rabbit walks by. Yeah. You're trying to escape the Pizzaplex as Gregory. So, like, it was interesting seeing how he went from being evil to trying to escape because of Charlie, presumably. And now that this DLC comes out next month, we'll see how this changes everything.
Well, yeah, because if he regained, like, consciousness, or he remembers his life back when he was human, and he remembers the trauma of the last, like, bit.
Yeah.
Of being killed by and crushed by an animatronic. So he wants to get out.
Yeah.
That's why he destroys them like whenever he can.
Yeah, he collects parts and he upgrades Freddy with them. And then there's many endings. There's endings where you escape, endings where you don't escape, endings. There's a secret ending that I unlocked. I was very excited when I did it. It's one where you upgrade Freddy completely, like all of his parts, and then you head down to a hole, and then you find the old pizzeria location under the establishment, and then you fight Springtrap. He comes back. And yeah, that was a crazy ending. I think that's the canon ending. I don't know. But yeah, he's there, and the Blob is also there. He is just kind of mad.
Just attacks anyone besides Michael, right?
Yeah, the Blob is, I think, once Henry burned everything, all the animatronic parts, they like fuse together into the giant Blob.
Oh.
So I think that's what that is. And yeah, there's like tentacles coming out of the floor. If you go near them, it kills you. And at the end, you successfully stop your dad, and then the Blob comes and like wraps him up and takes him away, and that's the last time we see him. So I don't know if he's dead this time.
Probably just escaped again. He's gonna be the villain for everything.
Yeah.
But what happened to Michael?
You escape with him. You like running because you're underground. That's where the pizzeria is. It like starts collapsing, and you're running with Freddy behind you, and then that's just where it ends. So we're gonna see what happens. I am making a Glamrock Freddy suit, 3D printed. I'm excited. It's gonna be a while, but yeah, that's the guy I'm making. He's huge. He's made of metal. I don't really have much to say other than we are gonna have to wait until he makes another one of these for the DLC.
When is that coming out?
July something.
This month.
Is it July?
This month. Tomorrow is July.
Oh. All right. So tomorrow's July. So DLC's coming out real soon, and then the movie's coming out in October.
I think he might just wait for the movie, and then because if he like makes another video and then the movie shifts everything around, that's
the
just
movie is canon. I don't think the movie's canon, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Yeah, we might get a video after the movie just to get everything wrapped up in both things, because he does one thing and it updates and it's different, and it's gonna be 2 videos.
I remember they were talking about making like it was years ago, back when like the game was getting big. People were like making a real life Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and that never happened.
It was just talk.
Yeah, there was like donations and everything. They got conned.
Scam.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad it didn't happen, because some person would go and recreate all the killings.
Oh yeah,
So,
there's crazy enough to
there's
just like
insane people out there. So I'm kind of glad it didn't happen.
stay fiction, please.
Yeah, the Pizzaplex, I would be glad if it happened, because it's a huge place. I want to go there. It just looks awesome. You just go in there, eat pizza, go on an elevator. There's only 2 elevators. I don't know why, but yeah, it's a very cool place. Very cool place.
Just go to Peter Piper Pizza. Has the same
I don't
feel.
think we've been there for years.
There's still one left.
One Peter Piper Pizza.
It has the creepy old vibes. Like when you go, you feel like you're going back to the 19s.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't been since I was a kid.
Well, the one that's here, yes. I don't know if there are any in other locations or anything, but it feels like it hasn't been updated. It's just stayed the same.
Chuck E. Cheese.
That has changed.
Yeah. I knew someone who worked as the rat. Charles. They were Charles. Yeah. We're just gonna have to see what happens after this. And this makes me want to go back and just play the games. They don't take very long to play, except for I guess Security Breach. But
Yeah, just so you can see how everything plays out, how he's explaining it. You're like, oh, this is this, and then this.
Especially in this last game, because there's like a bunch of rooms you can actually go walk around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff you miss. Yeah. It's not exactly scary, this new game. It's like The only scary part was the endoskeletons things, because like weeping angels. There's like a ton of them, and you have to like keep walking, we turn around, and then there's one point where like they drop in a room all around you, so you have to like They're all around you. So if you look this way, there's people some coming behind you. Turn around and look at them. The ones behind you are coming to you. You have to like run and stuff like that. That's the only part that got me a little scared.
Reminds me of there's an episode in Doctor Who.
Yeah, the Weeping Angels.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah. I haven't watched Doctor Who. I just know about the Weeping
I
Angels.
know that episode from years ago. Like, you can't blink.
You can't blink?
You can't blink because every time when you blink, it's closer.
Oh.
Like, you can't at all unless you have multiple people staring at it. Like, there's different statues, if I remember correctly, different statues, and then they have to be looked at. If somebody removes their eyesight from it, it attacks. It just moves. You can't even see it move. It'll just be when you see it again, it'll be closer until you die.
What if I blink really fast?
No, it die. I mean, you die.
All right.
What if they like go like this and then go like this?
Oh, that's a strategy. See, you gotta make up strategies to survive this thing. All right. Well, that's all I had to say. I feel like I had something that I wanted to mention, but I don't know what it is. So we're just gonna have to wait. Oh, the second VR game. That's not what I wanted to mention. It's just something I thought of right now. Second VR game is coming in, so that's also gonna play into the lore. I don't know what it could be, because this first one was the wife trying to bring back Afton through code, and then, you know, hijack Vanessa's memory and stuff like that. So I wonder what the second one is going to be. Another victim.
Obviously, yes. There's
Yeah.
victims in every one. Like, this one wasn't too many victims, right? It was just the first one where the consciousness was of William was trying to be... Like, he was trying to take over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first victim, he did something to his face, right?
Oh, yeah, the guy, Jeremy. It's in the VR game. You're, like, you collect tapes, low cassette tapes, and you can, like, play them and read them. It says that the first person to test them, they were trying to hijack his mind. He fought back, and he cut his face off with the paper slicer. It's like, I don't know if you remember, it's like a...
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, like, a paper guillotine, yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
But he died?
I think so. Yeah, and then I remember in the VR game, there's like that rabbit. It's him. It's Afton, because you're just playing through the game, and you'll like there's big parts where there's just a rabbit walking around, and like, hey, that rabbit's moving a lot different than these guys. So yeah, that's Afton trying to control your memory. Yeah, it's cool how it all pieces together. Yet you have to like piece all of this together yourself, because none of this is
In
like
order.
actually pieced together in the games. It's just like speculation on everybody's part. So that's all I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I did forget to talk about, but I guess that'll just have to wait until the next one comes out. So if you enjoyed this reaction, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what y'all thought, and until next time, whenever that is, we'll see you later. Goodbye.